there's one amazing gambit you probably never knew existed. It is called the Williams Gambit, and I'm going to show you 5 high-level traps that I just discovered in this weird and dubious gambit. The Williams Gambit. Trap number 1. This is where you begin with pawn to f4, arising from the bird opening, and after black plays the top played move pawn to d5. This is when you go e4. And now this is called the Williams Gambit, not the King's Gambit. After DE, what you want to do is to go bishop c4, targeting the weak f7 pawn, and you will see how we take advantage of that. Knight f6 is the top played move, and then this is when you go pawn to d3. Now hold on, in this position there's a funny trick that I want you guys to always employ. You can see that the top played move is e takes d3, no jokes. This is what is in the Leech's database. But before black plays this move, I want you guys to always pre-move knight e2, so that ed can be met with knight e2 automatically. This will look like a mouse slip to most of your opponents. Trust me, with all your elbows, your opponents are going to take on e2 as well. Like this. Once this happens, just know you're winning due to bishop takes f7 sacrifice. After king takes, you then grab a free queen on d8. Anyway, out of shame, if black continues with knight c6 attacking your queen, just like in the Tennyson Gambit, never should you take on c7, you children of Hikaru. The move you always want to play is queen d3. Say, what's wrong with queen takes c7? Well, in this case, black is going to win after knight d5, trapping your queen instantly. You see that there is no any safe square where your queen can go to. So always learn to control your appetite in chess. If you want to save your game, better go queen d3, and then from here it will just be a matter of technique to convert and win. For example, you have queen c4 check. After pawn to e6, you start chasing your enemy's pieces out of your territory. This is the only thing you want to remember. I'm sure from here most of your opponents will retreat their bishop, after which you go bishop e3. Now you start developing all your pieces with tempo. There's no need to rush taking. That pawn is already a dead pawn if you think about it. But if you are really pressed, you can take and then bring in your other pieces. For example, after rook d8, you can just play pop. If knight e4, you don't cast a shot due to knight g3, so you go knight d2. Simple chess. If knight g3 comes anyways, you go queen f3. So there are all these things that black players will try on you, but never lose hope. Just exercise a bit of patience and continue playing with your queen. Trap number 2. After f4 and pawn to d5, the top played move, you still go pawn to e4 anyways. And after d takes e4, what else do you know? You still go bishop c4. Now after knight f6, d3 and pawn takes, then knight e2. This time your opponent may not take immediately on e2, especially if they are advanced. You will see them playing something like pawn to e6, the second most played move on Leeches. Oh, okay, this time you're caught, but guess what? You haven't lost a piece, so you can just continue with your normal development. Now this becomes a normal gambit. See that you are just down a pawn. It is just a pawn. Don't worry, there's so much to care about in life. In this position, they will play something like bishop e7 or knight c6, and sometimes bishop c5, just stopping you from castling short. This is what most of the advanced players would play, I guess. Now what I'll do here is to develop my other knight, and after castle short, the top played move, now I simply attack that useless bishop because I don't like it. I'm not just making up these stuffs. As you can see, bishop b6 is the top played move, followed by bishop b4 check, and some people also play bishop d4. You can see that. So if bishop b4 check, what I advise is to block with your bishop rather than blocking with your stomach, and they'll probably take, after which you can simply take back with your queen. And now life becomes simple, by the way, because you're just one move away from castling long and continue sacrificing things on the king side to make your opponent very fast. After knight a4, bishop b6 is the top played move, followed by bishop b4 check. Note that bishop 4 doesn't work due to knight takes, and after queen takes, you simply have bishop takes h7, and you're going to win a free queen once again. After knight a4, most of the times they play bishop b6 anyways. This is a more practical move, after which you get rid of it and then you cast a shot. This is what you'll be playing most of the times, and there is something very special that you can do. For example, after knight c6, now you can go queen e1. The idea is to shift your pieces to the king side. Say rook e8, you go bishop e3, or better fianchetto your dark squared bishop like this. e5, bishop b2, pawn takes, you simply go queen h4, and the game is back to to equal. You're going to take back and all that. If they play pawn to e4 attacking your light squared bishop, you go bishop b5. Bishop c4 is also fine, but bishop b5 pins the knight to the rook. Let's just say bishop g4. Here you go, knight g3. The game is just dead equal, as you can see from the eval bar. e3, h3, bishop d7, queen d1, queen e7, bishop takes f6, queen takes, oh, oops, rook takes bishop, a free piece. Now, go and check out 3 of my new courses on my website kasperchess.com that I highly recommend you get right now. The newly updated Semislav defense against d4, the knight c6 Nimzowitsch defense, and the mighty e5 Paris defense, which is my best selling course till this date. Chess is a school on its own, and you will just need to show some efforts to unlock some secrets that content creators don't show on YouTube. And that's how you support this channel, by the way. Trap number 3 in the Williams Gambit. After starting with the bird's opening, and then you go e4, then this, bishop c4, knight f6, and d3. Sometimes your opponents won't just take right away because they have a feeling you are up to something. So the move you're going to see in this position is bishop g4. The second most played move. Well, after this, again, what I recommend is just to go knight e2. Who are you? Where do you come from? Pawn takes, ha! You just remove knight bc3 as if you didn't see this attack. Once again, if pawn takes, you simply have bishop takes f7 check, and on the next move, win a free queen. Let's just say this time black takes on e2 with their bishop. Well, you can simply get back your piece like this. Pap, you're just okay. Once again, if d takes, you simply win a free queen like this, just like what we do in the tennis on Gambit. If they don't ever take on e2, the game may be back to normal. Say after pawn to e6, you just take back with your bishop, and after bishop c5 like we saw earlier, what do you do whenever you see bishop c5? In the Williams Gambit, you go after that bishop with knight a4, so that if bishop b6 you get rid of it and castle shot. Then later on play queen e1, preparing to go to the king side. But anyways, if they play the top played move bishop d4, well, now you can simply go h3. You don't want to entertain your enemy's pieces in your territory. They play h5. Now you go pawn to g4. After bishop g6, guess what? Black's dark squared bishop becomes a free piece, because if queen takes, now you have bishop b5 check, and you're going to win that poor queen. Trap number 4. Where are the e4 lovers? Do we have any in the house? Watch. After you go pawn to e4 and black plays the Scandinavian defense. You know what? You can also go back to the Williams Gambit with the move pawn to f4. Look at you! What did you have for lunch? The whole idea is to allow black take on e4 as usual. Then you go bishop c4. Once again, after knight f6, you always want to play d3, hoping that they take. And by this time, you would have already pre-moved knight e2. That's what I said. But hey, don't be like a boring wife. Sometimes you need to spice up things. Here you can even go knight f3 if you want. Not always pre-moving knight e2. First of all, if black still takes on c2, you have the same tennis on Gambit trap with bishop takes, and after king takes, you win a free queen. Ha! I know what you're thinking. Black should not take on c2. They should play something like bishop g4. Well, this is even worse, as you can now play knight e5, sacrificing your queen this time. Because if they take, well, it's bye-bye for black. Oh, wait a second. What if black doesn't take your queen and say they play bishop e6? Because obviously the bishop is under attack twice. So if they play bishop e6, stopping you from checkmating them, well, you can just take pap. And after pawn takes, now this is when you take back on d3. Oh, of course not with your teeth, I mean with your knight. Next you want to castle shot. If black tries to stop you like this, well, you have queen e2, and next you're going to play bishop e3 and castle shot. Your b2 pawn is well defended by your d knight. Anyway, trap number 5. Still in the Williams Gambit, where you go f4, and after pawn to d5, the top played move, you still go e4. Because this is the only thing you know. By the way, don't ask me what you should do if black doesn't take. It doesn't matter. If black doesn't take, that will just be a normal game. In fact, you will have an advantage. For example, if they play something like pawn to d4, see how the eval bar has gone all the way up after bishop c4. If c5, like what they do, you go knight f3. Again, if bishop g4, first there is this bishop takes f7 check. After king takes, you have knight e5 check, and then you're going to win back the bishop like this. For example, king e8. Here I would even take back with the queen, so that if knight f6, I resign. No, I go queen e6, and next mate. Anyway, so black just needs to take on e4, after which you go bishop c4 as usual. Now, instead of knight f6, which is the top played move, let's look at the second most played move, just in case you see it. Pawn to e6. what do you do after this? Look at the eval bar once again. The game is now close to equal as black is not doing anything. Anyway, this time you go knight c3, attacking that e4 pawn. You just want to get it back. If knight f6, you go queen e2. You just want to get it. I mean, black was not interested in the first place, so you just go after that thing. In this position, black plays queen d4 most of the times to hold on to their pawn, but this is when you go pawn to d3. Oh, there's pawn takes. Yeah, now we take back with our bishop. They'll play bishop b4, but there's bishop d2. Still, this is a gambit. Don't say we are down a pawn. I mean, we are still playing a gambit. That's why this is called the Williams Gambit. You're supposed to be down a pawn for quick development and piece activity. If they castle short, now you go knight f3. Queen b6, still preventing you from castling short. You castle long. That's the whole idea. And as you can tell by the eval bar, we are back to normal and white is slightly better in this position. Most people play knight c6, by the way, as you can see, but this turns out to be a mistake due to a3. If bishop d6, we have king b1 and say rook e8. Now we have knight a4, and all of a sudden black's queen is trapped. Maybe knight d4 helps, but after queen f2, I don't know what else black should do here. For example, if queen c6, saving their queen, also attacking the knight, here you can just go knight takes d4, attacking that queen one more time. If queen takes a4, you still have bishop b5, trapping the queen for the second time. Maybe black can save themselves after knight e4. Well, you have queen e3, knight takes, queen takes, and black's queen still can't get out of Sobibo. It is too late. One common line you're going to see over and over is this one. After a4, d takes, bishop c4, knight f6, and pawn to d3. Instead of pawn takes or bishop g4, some of your opponents who are not risk takers will be playing pawn to e6. Now against this, you can play knight c3 or queen e2. For example, knight c3, and then they'll play bishop b4, pinning your knight to the king. Then you go bishop d2. By the way, you are ready to take if black doesn't take on d3, so they just have to, and then you take back like this. We're still down a pawn because this is a gambit. After castle short, now you activate your queen like this. You really want to castle short due to these weaknesses, so most of the times you always want to castle long. For example, after knight c6, you can just castle long, and after knight d4, you go queen f2, c5, and now the game is back to equal. After knight f3 and knight takes, you can even take back with your g pawn since you want to start attacking on this side of the board. So this is how most of your games are going to be going. If you think I'm joking, well, see what is happening in the Lichess database. No one has ever lost in this position, all 100% win rate. Bonus trap. Before I end this video, where did we learn this dirty trick? Well, it is from the England gambit after d4 and e5. If white takes, we usually play bishop c5, so that after knight f3, the top played move, this is when we go pawn to d6. And before white even takes, this is where we pre-move knight e7. For example, after this, we go pop, and after d takes e7, that's how we win the free queen once again, with queen takes d1. Same stuff as we saw in the Williams Gambit. So, will you become Mr. Williams just for today? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Now, go and check out 3 of my new courses on my website kasperchess.com that I highly recommend you get right now. The newly updated Semislav defense against d4, the knight c6 Nimzowitsch defense, and the mighty e5 Paris defense, which is my best selling course till this date. Chess is a school on its own, and you will just need to show some efforts and commitment to unlock some secrets that content creators don't show on YouTube. And that's how you support this channel, by the way. This video was sponsored by all of our paid members on Patreon. These are the guys who support Casper Chess financially. In return, we give them extra study materials and other premium content on Patreon to thank them in style. Not to mention that all of our patrons are at liberty to make video requests and ask any chess related questions. You can join free membership and pay later if you want through the link in the comment section down below.